Regular Board of Education meeting to order. Nikki, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Nikki Austin, present. Dan Bardoff.
Present.
Rich Depre.
Present.
Terry Ellefson. Present. Teresa Keen. Present. Cheryl McGuire. Dylan McGuire.
Here.
We are Dylan. Bill Fosberg and Tim Wolf.
All right, we have a quorum and we are in session. I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda for this evening.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Terry and a second by Dan by voice vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay. Now we get to move on to the fun part. We're going to get to do some recognitions this evening. So thank you, everybody. Thank you to everybody for joining us. And I think we're going to start with Northside first this evening. Mrs. Timmerman.
Good evening, everyone. I am so excited to announce our third grade winner is Azalea Richards. So come on up. So Mrs. Zender is her teacher, and she's going to talk about why she's so incredibly deserving. But as they get ready, so I just want to say, so Azalea's in third grade, and she's very young yet. However, she, to me, is just wise beyond her years, and even as a third grader, she's an incredible, incredible role model. And I had so many teachers and students say, she's the perfect recipient. Perfect. And I think it's so true. All right, Mrs. Zender.
Okay. I'm gonna move over to this side. That's okay.
Okay.
So I was gonna say the same thing. One of the things that I was gonna say was how many adults in the building came up to tell me how what a great choice it was. So it's not just third grade who's noticing and Mrs. Timmerman, but all of the adults in the building are noticing that. I needed to write things down today because I thought I could talk about her for an hour. So she's amazing. She's just an amazing kid. So, and so I'm so excited to tell you about her tonight. In third grade, one of our mastery standards is to identify character traits in books that we read. And so every week Azalea has to identify character traits and prove it with really strong evidence. So Azalea, I thought tonight that I would do that work, and I'm gonna use character traits to describe you. And it won't be hard to prove them for sure. So Azalea is dependable. Her peers can count on her to be kind and caring at all times. She is always respectful towards everyone. It is so refreshing as a teacher to have a student who you can just count on to do the right thing. Azalea is confident. I love how she comes to the classroom every morning with a smile on her face and ready to take on any and all challenges. She takes feedback extremely well and doesn't get upset if she doesn't know how to do something right away. She has the confidence to know that she just doesn't know how to do it yet. And she is confident enough to know that treating everyone in the building with care and kindness is always the right thing to do. Azalea is a leader. She leads quietly by example and is noticed by her classmates, who, by the way, were so excited when she was chosen. And we had quite a celebration in our room after it was announced. And here are a few things that her friends said. We snuck today when I grabbed those kids before recess and sent you out early. Her friends say that you are a hard worker. You deserve this. She is always a great friend and respectful, responsible, and safe. Azalea is so kind and helpful. Also, she is so smart. She's always being respectful, responsible, and safe. She is kind, helps others, and gets stuff done. So that is true. And then this one is so sweet. Azalea is always super kind to everyone, and I mean everyone. So she's a perfect student to represent Northside and represent the community of Monroe, the school district of Monroe, and especially our classroom. And I can't wait to see all that she accomplishes as she goes through the Monroe School District, and I'm just so proud of you.
Amazing job, Azalea. It's great to hear all those wonderful things about you and just how you're helping to build the community at Northside and how much you care about your peers and how much they recognize you and as a leader amongst them. And it's hard to build those relationships sometime, but it seems like you're doing it with ease. And just wanted to thank you so much for all of your hard work there and keep up what you do there every day. It's making it a very special place. So to remember the evening, we've got a certificate for you and a gift card from Barnes & Noble. Congratulations, great job. Next, we will have Parkside. Mrs. Trainee.
Good evening, everyone. I am excited to introduce fifth grader Maureen to all of you. Come on up, Maureen. And Mrs. Kiddo and Mrs. Houston, I think they'd like to join us as well. So Maureen is a fifth grader this year, and you've been at Parkside since second grade, Maureen?
Yep.
Yep. So Maureen moved to Parkside from another community in second grade, and when we were doing nominations this month, so many teachers said the growth that Maureen has made since second grade is amazing. And they started talking about how much they're going to miss you at Parkside next year, Maureen, but they don't want to talk about that. I think it makes them sad. So we wanted to celebrate you tonight. And Friday was probably, all of the fire truck celebrations are my favorite, but Friday was pretty special. Mom and Dad had a pretty hard time keeping that secret from you, Maureen, but they promised me they wouldn't tell. They had a friend there video cameraing from the driveway next door. And I heard, Maureen, you heard the sirens and you said, someone in our neighborhood, student of the month. And then you realized it was you, right? It was you, Maureen. So Mrs. Kiddo and Mrs. Houston, what do you want to share about Maureen?
Well, I was going to say she had overwhelming support from all the teachers. So when we took the vote, she was hands down the winner this month. So that's great. I collected a few things from some of our former teachers to say as well. So Mrs. Kinney was her third grade teacher. And she said, coolest child on the planet. When she's interested in something, she lives, breathes, and learns everything humanly possible about it. Her determination and joy ooze from her. We are all better people for getting the chance to know Maureen Kavanaugh.
All right, and I'm going to share from me and from Mrs. Sween, who have both worked with you since second grade. But I want to share quick, when Maureen was in second grade, I love that this has come full circle because when she first came to us in January of second grade and she realized the fire truck was something that she could work towards, she was like, I want that fire truck. So to see this come full circle in your fifth grade year, I think is pretty amazing. I think that Maureen is an energetic, intelligent, funny student. You love dancing, you love singing, you love learning, you love being with your peers. Your enthusiasm for everything, Maureen, shines through in everything that you do. And I think that you're truly gonna be in lights someday, and I can't wait to see you in middle school and in high school and all the musicals and the plays. And even someday I told the
Dance team.
And dance team, yes, and dance team. Mrs. Sween said Maureen is polite, kind, and a fun student. She has demonstrated the word grit throughout her years at Parkside. When given feedback, she rises to the occasion and works hard to achieve her goals. She constantly shares her passions with others, from singing to dancing. Maureen greets all the staff each morning with a smile. She is a great student and will be missed next year when she transitions to middle school.
And then from me, Maureen has been a joy to teach and get to know this year. Her personality is exuberant. If she meets you once, she will never forget you. When she has difficulties, she tells herself, this is hard, but I can do this. And she really believes in herself. We all agree her name will be in lights one day, and we look forward to being in the audience. Congratulations.
Hi, Maureen. I'm Rich. I'm with the board. Amazing to hear all these great things about you. I can't tell you how important a skill it is to have throughout your entire life to be resilient. And if something gets in your way, you just take a look at the problem, you figure out what you need to do to make it through, and then just work until you're successful. And it sounds like you have all of those traits. And I'm excited to see what you do through middle school and high school. So thanks for everything that you're doing. We've got a certificate for you to remember the evening and a gift card for Barnes & Noble to get some sweet books. I love the t-shirt.
Thanks.
Congratulations. We'll move on to middle school next, and we'll go from the most behind to, okay, so we'll do December, then January, then February.
Middle school likes to save up.
Yes, please.
So our first winner is Lane Skase, and Lane is going to be presented by a science teacher, Ms. Burke, so come on up. I just want to add something real quick and then I'll get out of the way. So when Mr. Boehm is subbing in your math class, that's when you should be scared. And so luckily when I did this for Ms. Hicks, there was a math teacher in the room, Mr. Skase. And so you helped multiple kids in that room. And it was just great because I was sweating, my friend. Those hands were going up and you're like, nah, I got this. And I got out of the way and you took care of business. So thank you. Now I'm going to turn the mic over to Ms.
All right, so I had to write this out so that I remembered everything I wanted to say to you, Lane, tonight. You are a hard worker. You consistently perform very well in science. As far as leadership, it's very under the radar, where you can get your lab partner, your table group to chime in and kind of like get going on in whatever task I've given you that day. Whether it's our STEM challenge or lab days, I see you being very hands-on. I also see you stepping back and listening to your peers, which is an awesome, awesome quality. You strive for academic excellence as well, and you're consistent in asking for help when or if needed. You also just have this great and fun energy that I wish I could contain it in a jar because it's so awesome. You just know that right time to lighten the mood, but you don't do it in a hurtful or harmful way to anybody. It is always positive and it is always needed and refreshing. So thank you so much for bringing that humor into my classroom this year, Lynn.
All right, Lane. Thanks so much on behalf of the board for everything that you do to help inspire your fellow classmates to do good work and just to be a good friend. It helps create a great community there at the middle school. So thank you again so much for everything that you do. Got a certificate for you to remember the evening and then a gift card to Barnes & Noble to get yourself a book. Congratulations and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Our next recipient is Anna Zettner, and Anna has been nominated by her English teacher, Mr. Flanagan. Come on up, Mr. Flanagan.
All right, so when I filled out the nomination form for Anna, we sent it out to the rest of the staff and nobody replied. No, I'm just kidding. So I was not surprised that a lot of the attributes that I cited from Anna were echoed by her other teachers. She's a very kind, very thoughtful, very responsible individual. And I guess the thing that stands out the most to me about Anna is that when offered a challenge, when offered a way to maybe take her learning farther than the bare minimum, she accepts that challenge and is always looking for ways to be better. And so her writing skills continue to blossom. Her analytical skills are in development. I think the high school is going to be getting a phenomenal addition. And I guess our relationship started one day when we were outside the building. I was coming back from something, had no excuse for not being present. She was leaving the building, apparently for some appointment. And we both caught each other skipping out of school, and we made a solemn vow not to rat one another out. And so I figured I owed it to her to I guess Mr. Boehm just heard all that. We're probably both in trouble. But she's wonderful and puts up with me every day. And yeah, so proud of you, Anna, and keep up the good work, and let's enjoy the little bit of time we have left together.
All right, Anna. Well, it's not hard for me to believe all those wonderful things I just said for you once upon a time when I came in and helped with small math groups when you were in third grade. I could tell right away because you were helping me figure out what the group was supposed to do. So I can't thank you enough for all of your hard work. Keep it up. It's going to pay dividends when you're in high school and beyond. To remember the evening, we've got a certificate for you and a gift card to Barnes & Noble. Thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you.
And finally, from the middle school, Marie Fritzenmeyer, also presented by Mr. Flanagan.
Oh.
Yeah, thanks, Rose. I got a little cut. So Emery is a joy to have in class. I get the great fortune of having her in my homeroom and in my English class, so she gets to spend time with me a couple of times a day. And you know, when I came in late October, I wasn't quite sure what she thought of me. But you know, she's a kid who I think sometimes underneath, you know, a tough exterior, because she's a tough kid. She has a heart of gold. She is very, very helpful. In fact, recently I had her doing some work for me that she didn't have to do. If I were to ask her to do just about anything, she would do so. And that's the way that she interacts with her peers. So I watch her helping other students, reminding them about what's important in class. And I just really feel like her skills are taking off and continue to grow. She's worked really hard, and I just think that the work that she's putting in will make her ready for that next step. But she's got a great sense of humor. She introduced me to TikTok. She said, "You have to get on this." And so I thought if Emery likes it, it must be cool. So congratulations to you, Emery. And again, keep up the great work. I'm very, very proud of the growth that you've made. So, yeah, you bet.
All right, Emery. You should be really proud of the, you know, things that your teacher was saying about you, and all the hard work that you've had is really starting to pay off. And I don't know if you remember when you were a Girl Scout selling cookies, I could see the care that you had for your fellow Scouts then. So this is, again, no big surprise to me that you're standing here today. And it's my honor to celebrate this moment with you. We've got a certificate for you to remember the evening, a gift card to Barnes & Noble. Great job. Keep up the good work. Hope to see you here again, okay? Mr. Jackson.
Hello, everyone. Monroe High School Student of the Month this month is Atsiri Ocampo. And she got nominated by Miss Ormson. I'll have her come up as well. Miss Ormson actually nominated her, but there's several teachers that were involved in this and gave feedback. And one of the things, I won't steal your thunder on it. But besides the academics, they just said she is a wonderful person and one of the most kind people you'll ever meet. And I think that's very true. So.
Oh man, there's not enough things that I could say about Adziri. Adziri is a leader on the soccer field, in the classroom, and in school. Adziri has really stepped up this year and has been a huge help to her fellow students. She has actually started interpreting for a class, so she takes her bilingual knowledge and shares that with our school district. Adziri is just the most compassionate human being you'll ever meet. She will actively be talking with her classmates and helping them with homework and helping them learn something new. And don't let her fool you, she's got quite a bit of humor with her as well. She knows how to make a joke and has a couple little zingers that will get you. She is in the words of some of her other teachers, she is 100% the force of, or gives 100% of her force on the field and also in the classroom. She's part of our Equity for Everyone group this year and has really taken a leadership role in this group, bringing equity to our district and making sure that everyone is treated fairly. Yeah, she has just grown and grown the last 3 years as a manager, as for the boys soccer team, and also a player on the field. I've got to know Adziri quite well over the past couple of years, and she is just an excellent human being, and we're super excited to see where life takes you because we know it's going to be something grand.
Adziri, thank you so very much for everything that you're doing to help your fellow students, help remove barriers so that they can be successful, and to engage with the school resource groups that you are, just to make sure that you're leaving the high school a better place than you found it. It's incredibly important to do those things to help build that community. So thank you very, very much. Please keep up the hard work. We've got a certificate to remember the day and a Barnes & Noble gift card to buy some books. Congratulations. Good job.
He gets to do the hard work on this one, right?
Tonight, we are celebrating from Abraham Lincoln Elementary School, Adeline. Adeline is new to us this year, and in just a short amount of time, she has shown her student leadership. And that is one of the reasons that we are recognizing her tonight. Mr. Niemeyer?
Yeah, she was really excited until I told her she had to give a speech. And I only waited about 30 seconds to tell her that she didn't have to take them. No, that's kind of humor. Adele and I kind of have back and forth throughout the day, but she's always my right hand in this classroom. If I need help with anything, I know I can count on her. I mean, the academic achievements, she was our representative at the spelling bee, she's in math competition, she's in the kindness club, she's in student council, blah, 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 blah. So she is rocking it. And, you know, it's hard to come to a new school. And, you know, we're always really careful. You know, she came in and she's like, whatever, I know what I'm doing. Like it was, you don't see a lot of kids come in with that much confidence and that much leadership that they come in on the first week of school and are helping the other kids out, even though she might not even know their names yet. But I told this story to Mr. Teasdale today about it. She is in Race to Read, and there was kind of a time there where she wasn't sure if she wanted to do that. You gotta read extra, you know, you gotta come in at lunch and talk about books, and you know, and I kind of said to her, I just said, you know, it's your choice. If you really want to give it up, I'm not going to stop you. But I said, you really are academically gifted. And I feel like that's really hard to give up. And I said, you should really push yourself. And that's the kind of person she is. She responds to a challenge, and she has done really well. And that's just really cool. And I did have your classmates write some stuff. I knew you figured it out right away. So when I told her to go get the milk, or said I forgot. And so what some of the kids said were just amazing, you know, such a great friend. Someone even wrote, you were an angel sent from heaven. And a couple people wrote, you're my best friend. And so that just, you're rocking it with everybody. I'm so proud of you. And the hardest part is that you only got to spend a year a day, but we're gonna miss you next year, and the middle school's getting a great kid, so.
That's amazing to hear, you know, coming to a new school, and the courage and the confidence that you had. And you can tell from some of the great things that your classmates said that makes a difference. It's an infectious quality, and it makes your whole classroom better for it. So thank you so very much for having that attitude every day to help make Abe a really special place. So on behalf of the board, we've got a certificate to remember the evening and a gift card to Barnes & Noble. Great job. Keep up the good work, and congratulations.
All right, Mrs. Roofer, would you come up, please? Mrs. Roofer is at Abraham Lincoln Elementary School as well in special education. And she has the ability and takes full advantage of that to touch many, many students' lives. This year, she was presented with a new challenge of multiple grade levels that she serves. She is a devoted educator who spends hours making sure that every student that she serves has exactly what they need and more to accomplish their tasks and be successful. So some of your peers at our school said you are the calm in the midst of crazy, and that's one thing that they appreciate about you. You're selfless, kind, caring, fun to work with, and very positive. Not a day goes by that you don't share a kind word, a gentle smile, or a contagious laugh to brighten the day. You go above and beyond to develop and establish open and trusting relationships with families. And that's been evident by just day-to-day life at Abe. You constantly seek ways to help your students by creating visuals, adjusting schedules, and collaborating and being intentional about every single team member that it might affect. Connecting with students and talking to them personally and engaging them so that they love being at Abe and love learning. And so you are beyond deserving of this award, and we are so glad that you were chosen.
Chris, on behalf of the board, I can't thank you enough for all the work that you do to build those relationships and to be a sort of a guiding North Star for the rest of your colleagues whenever they need a little direction. All of those things that you do to build meaningful relationships with our students, I can't thank you enough for, because it really makes a huge difference in their entire lives and our whole community. So on behalf of the board, it's my privilege to present the Staff Excellence Award to you, and the floor is yours.
For those who know me, it's not very often that I'm at a loss for words, but tonight is that night. So I appreciate the board and the administration. My Abe family and the team I work with is amazing. I couldn't do it without them. And certainly my own family, their love and support means everything, and my friends who came as well tonight. And finally, the families and the students I work with, they make my job fun. They challenge me to be the best I can be. I wouldn't do this job without them. So thank you.
Well, you want to come on up? So, we have an excuse to have, Leslie here on behalf of the food service program. So last week was National School Breakfast Week, and obviously.
And you didn't provide us breakfast?
No, we didn't provide breakfast. But you provided breakfast to how many students, right? And so, because a lot of school districts aren't offering school breakfast programs yet, and Monroe has now for a number of years, they just wanted to recognize the food service programs and schools for doing that. But more so for us, I think we wanted to recognize all our food service staff have done the last 2 years. If we go back to the spring of 2020, when COVID first started, we immediately started serving meals and getting them out to families and delivering them to their doors. When a number of school districts started having problems getting prepackaged foods, our staff took the food and commodities we had, made meals, and continued that delivery to those families, not only that spring, but all summer long. If you think back to last school year, seems a long time ago, obviously there was a lot of weeks when we were alternating weeks. We were not only feeding our families and students who were coming to school on a daily basis, for those families who were on alternating weeks, we were packing lunches and making sure that they had the availability to have lunches on the weeks when they weren't available. As we all know, school lunches and school meals are oftentimes the only consistent lunch many families can rely upon. And so all that time and effort certainly was appreciated, not only by the families, but all of the board as well, and all the administrative team. And so we appreciate all you did. And this year, we're a little more like normal. That's good. But obviously, still this year, we had a lot of times when we were short of staff. We had either quarantines or illnesses. And we've been able to just champion through and continue to do great work in making sure that our students get fed. And so the plaque talks about being a breakfast hero, and we appreciate you guys serving breakfast. But more so, we really appreciate all you've done to get our school district through the last 2 years, and all you've done to make sure that our students get the meals they need and deserve, and we really do appreciate that. So thank you.
just maybe blow your mind. Now that everybody's in school, we at the middle school service about 360 breakfasts and about 1,200 lunches a day between middle school. We also satellite to Northside, Parkside, Abe, Head Start, and we took on St. Victor's this year. So, and the high school does about 300 to 350 breakfast, and they're doing between 400 and 450 lunch every day. So, yeah, it's quite a task, but we have a great group of team members, I guess you could say, who are in food service. I run the kitchen at the middle school. Elaine Eiserman runs at the high school. And so we have a great group of people that work with us. And we have to give credit to Eric Eckham, who heads up our program. He keeps us on task. And we appreciate him and the board working things out during the pandemic so that we could stay employed. And I think it was beneficial for the families and for us as well. So thank you so much for your support in that. But thank you.
All right, and the last things, I'm not gonna probably make you two get up, I'll probably pass them to you, is we have a recognition from WASB. They have implemented a program in the recent years for board members who go out, take care opportunities for education and advancing themselves as board members, as well as if they participate on various boards or civic activities outside of public education. And so this year we had two people who were able to earn enough points to get to their level. So we have Teresa, congratulations, you were an award level 1 recipient. And Rich, congratulations, you were a level 2 recipient. Work and time and effort that you put into the school board and then obviously for the promotion of the school district of Monroe outside of our boundaries as well. So thank you.
All right. So all of our Staff Excellence Award winners, or Staff and Student Excellence Award winners, please come on up to the front. And Mrs. Boshar is going to take your photo up here. And afterwards, if anybody wants to stick around for the rest of the entire board meeting, you're more than welcome to hang out with us, but you are free to go after the photo if you like. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Some of you in the front, so we can get all of it together. And someone kneel down in the front. Excellent. Great. All right, here we go. A whole bunch of pictures. Great, thank you.
Good job, guys.
Congratulations. Very proud of you. Thank you for coming. So proud of you. Illinois. I forgot you guys. I graduated from back in high school. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Have a good evening. See you tomorrow.
It's like first place, second place, and then third place. Have a good night.
You too.
I know, it's pretty good.
Tell her what they did when they gave you.
No, I sat meeting.
I mean, that's, yes.
Stay in trouble.
All right.
I know, I know.
Move on to our consent agenda. Any board members wish to remove any consent agenda item for individual consideration? Hearing none, we'll read them to the record. Got the Board of Education minutes from February 28th, 2022, Board of Education special meeting minutes of March 1st, 2022, approval of support staff hiring, Matt Carter, Library Assistant, Monroe Public Library, approval of professional staff retirement, Nicole Jordan, Northside Reading Interventionist, and approval acceptance of community donations from Baumgartners in the amount of $1,150. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dan and a second by Nikki. Again, just recognition of a thanks to the community for the donations that they continue to provide to the district, and just a farewell to Nicole Jordan after 25 years of service to the district. Thank you so much for your years of service, and definitely gonna miss you. But retirement is so exciting. I can't wait myself. By voice vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, nay. All right, carries. All right, so we're on to public comment for this evening. We've got one person registered for public comment. Lisa Perry, would you like to come on up? I can let you know.
Lisa.
Lisa Perry.
Yep.
And so if you're unfamiliar with public comment, you're just making a speech about how you feel about something. We may not respond
Okay.
because it's.
Yeah, it's not on the agenda. I knew that.
Yep,
Um,
yep. And I'll give you 5 minutes. You feel free to start whenever you're ready.
Okay. So I'm Lisa Perry. I am actually from Illinois, not from Monroe. But I have a child who participates in Monroe Youth Hockey Association. He is in his last year of youth hockey eligibility and will be moving on to high school next year. I understand there is a co-op with other schools. There are 6 other schools in the co-op besides Monroe. And kids from Illinois play for Monroe High School team. So a year ago, I had called Mr. Newcomer and told him that I had a child that was coming up to the high school. And he said, okay, great, we can get your school into the co-op. It's Durand School is the school that we are in district for. And we live in Davis, so Davis is split between Dakota and Durand. Dakota is in the co-op already, Durand is not, but we live in the same town. I'm actually across the street from that, being in that district. So Mr. Newcomer said that the co-op agreement gets redone every 2 years and that it would be done this year, would be the every other year. So he said, don't worry about it, call me at the beginning of next school year and we'll get the paperwork in so your kid can play hockey. So I called him and he said, oh no, we redid the co-op last year, not this year. We weren't supposed to, but we did. And they did not make us aware of that. And I said, so what happens with my kid playing hockey for high school? And he said, well, he has to take a year off. And I said, well, he can't really take a year off at high school level. How's he gonna make the team as a sophomore? You know, he wouldn't be able to compete at that level without having played for a whole year. And I said, what are my other options? Is there something that we could do? And he said, you could find a, what is it even called? A club sport somewhere else, or you could move. And so I said, okay, I guess my kid doesn't play hockey now. He's been playing since he was 3 and now he's 14. So I did go to Durand and Durand said, yeah, we can get him in. Tell me who we have to talk to. Durand called Mr. Newcomer and they told him the same thing. They said, sorry, the kid can't play. So I don't know if there's anything that you guys could do. Monroe is aware of it. Amanda Spots is from Monroe. The coach is aware of it. And I guess it's just paperwork that has to be filled out and sent in. And Mr. Newcomer doesn't think it needs to be done. Apparently it was done last year off of the regular rotation to allow a student from Belleville to play, who was not in the co-op either and had never played for Monroe Youth Hockey. But they redid the co-op on an off year to allow him in. And now this is the regular year to redo it, but they said it can't be redone to let my kid play. So it just kind of doesn't seem fair that they would redo it on an off year for a student that wasn't even involved with Monroe ever. But my kid that's been playing with Monroe, for the last 4 years now is stuck with nowhere to go. That's all we got.
So I'll just chime in from Monroe Youth Hockey. We're here just as support for the family and for the other kids coming through the program that we will eventually have to co-op so that they can play high school.
Come up
Sorry.
here. I'm just gonna have you make an individual comment.
Yeah.
So that
I
we're all-
believe right now
So
my
we're
kids
all legal here and you
got
get your own
Joe
set of
Pact,
time.
but going forward, it would, because we're kind of off years now, right? Did I understand that correctly?
Just chiming in.
Nope, you're more than welcome to chime in. I just have to get you to sign in.
And I think there is a deadline that this paperwork needs to be completed by April 1st. Yeah, which I had called, I've been going back and forth with this for a couple of months now. And I know that when I called last year, like sports in Illinois weren't even allowed. They canceled sports in Illinois because of COVID. So when I contacted Monroe and talked to Mr. Newcomer at that point, he said, oh, don't worry about it. We don't have to redo anything until next year anyway. You can let your athletic director know. So I did let my athletic director know, and he said, don't worry about it. He said it needs to be done next year, so we're not gonna worry about it now. We're not even doing sports now in Illinois. So bring it back to us next year and we'll get it taken care of. And now it is next year, and they're saying, nope, sorry, it got done a year ago.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, Amanda Spots.
So I'm the treasurer for Monroe Youth Hockey, which is where their child plays. And just here just for moral support, we want the Monroe Youth Hockey Organization and the high school organization to really work together in the future and going forward. So that, we have kids from all over northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin. So we're gonna continuously be looking at changing the co-op agreements going forward, but to get it back on its regular 2-year cycle. The Belleville situation wasn't supported by Monroe Youth Hockey. We were asked our opinion. Again, the kid never played for us, and then he quit before the season started. So it was actually a waste to even do that co-op. But yeah, just to chime on, anything we can do, the paperwork is due April 1st, so we found that out today. If there's anything possible, we're here to help, so.
Thank you, Amanda.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else here for public comment?
Just here for support.
All right, thank you.
They pretty much said it all.
Okay, we'll move on to old business. No old business, new business. It's a discussion and approval of updated COVID-19 guidelines, so.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
I'll be right back to talk about.
Yep.
Why don't you coach them up? Jeremy.
It'll take me a minute. You can, it's okay.
Jeremy's got it.
All right, so at the last meeting, we asked the administration to bring back the 4K recommendation for consideration in light of the decreasing COVID numbers. I'll just really quickly give another update of the current state of COVID. Within the district, these are DHS numbers. We are at 1.86 per day on a 7-day rolling average, down from 2.4 the last time we talked, and a peak of 49 on January 20th. So this is again the lowest level since August. At the county level, we had a small uptick. We are now at 6.86 per day for a 7-day rolling average. We were at 4.86 the last time we met, and down from a peak of 104.3 January 20th. Greene County's current burden, we did transition down to high with a burden of 169. With the slight uptick, our burden will likely increase a little bit on Wednesday, but will not be enough to put us back into very high. This is again down from a peak of 3,428 was the burden on January 25th. No change in vaccination rates. Today, SSM Monroe adjusted their visitor policy and is now allowing patients to have 2 visitors at a time. As of today, we have no students or staff that are COVID positive or have quarantines. We have had 0 student cases since March 10th, down from a high of 103 on January 14th, and 0 staff cases since February 25th. Our focus continues to be maintaining in-person learning. There's a little bit of buzz about a new variant shutting down Shenzhen, but we have absolutely no indications that it's going to become an issue for us at this point. And we're continuing to move into more of an endemic posture. So I'm going to turn it over to administration to discuss their recommendation for our 4K.
Good, thanks for the overview, Rich. It's pretty straightforward. At our last meeting, we talked about, we made some adjustments to our guidelines, and at that point, the 4K on early childhood guidelines were brought up, and the question was asked whether or not there were adjustments that were necessary at that time. We promised to bring back some information to the board, which is what we're doing this evening. Just to be really straight and to the point about this, obviously, there's been a lot of adjustments in the county recently with regard to COVID practices. None of these school districts in Greene County are currently requiring masks for early childhood or for any students at this point. When you take a look at some of the information I provided in the update or the board write-up, the percentage of students at 4K is consistent, that contracted COVID is consistent with what we saw in many other grades. It was roughly about a quarter of our students contracted COVID over time. If you look at the monthly breakdown, you'll see that, you know, we had September 4, October 4 cases, November 4 cases, December 6 cases. January was our peak month, as Rich just mentioned, at 15. And then February, we came down to 1. And for this month, March, we've only had 1. Had a chance to actually be in a couple of the 4K classrooms this morning with Sarah as we were going around. And Sarah and I have talked a little bit about this. I think as we move forward through this progression towards a more endemic phase of COVID, we're seeing parents sending the kids to school without masks more often. I think it's a fair statement. I think the number of kids that are wearing the mask in our program at Abe Lincoln is very high. The vast majority are. Sometimes they need some reminders, right? The little ones. But we also know that in some of our community-based 4K programs, the consistency with which that requirement is being followed is not always there. So I think take all that information into account. We had some conversations. It's our recommendation at this point that we remove the masking requirement for 4K in early childhood. And we'd be certainly welcome or willing to answer any questions that the board may have relative to that recommendation. Sarah, did you have anything that you wanted to add? Anything I missed?
Nope, I think you covered it.
Comments from the board?
Just probably another thing to throw out there is the CDC, you know, the new definition that they have is now that it's optional as well. So that's
Sure.
probably something we
That's a good point.
should take into consideration.
To include that. All right. There's no further discussion. If somebody would like to make a motion, I would entertain it.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Got a motion by Cheryl and a second by Phil. The motion is to approve the updated COVID-19 guidelines of no masking requirement for early childhood and 4K programs as recommended by administration. Any further discussion? By voice vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item, we've got discussion and approval or possible approval of November 2022 referendum question. So this one's a continuation of our previous discussions on a possible facilities referendum. Felt like we were at a consensus at the last meeting, so we asked administration to proceed and reach out to legal counsel. They have provided a draft question that is a part of our board packet this evening. So tonight we'll discuss the draft wording If we're okay with the wording of the question, we don't think we're gonna send any edits back to the legal team, then we will then just ask the administration to go back to them and develop the final draft of both the question and the motion that the board would need to approve in order to place that question on the ballot. So that's what we're gonna go through tonight. And if, Ron, do you wanna take us through?
Yeah, I know the board had some hope that maybe if we had it all pulled together, we could just act on it tonight. That legal, rightfully so, was cautious under this, the sense that there's a lot more work and paperwork involved with the actual resolutions themselves. It's, a bundle of documents that we'll have to sign off on when we do that. And so they really wanted to make sure that you as a board had a chance to look at the wording of the question. Part of the language in the question is as it has to be based upon the legal requirements. But when it gets to the part of the question that describes actually what's being done, our legal has crafted this based upon what they know of the project and what we're doing and trying to capture everything that's being done because it has to be in the question for us to be able to spend money on it. But at the same time, trying to keep it as concise as possible so that, it's not too confusing for people who may be looking at the question. And so then if the board, whether you have tonight authorize this as the language to move forward, or if we have any slight edits, we would then take it back to them. We would come forth next meeting with the resolutions, which would include the question language, but the actual authorization, not only of what the question is, but also the authorization to have the referendum election in and of itself. And so that would be the plan moving forward to bring that on 4/28. So in your packets is the question, the lead-in, shall the school district of Monroe, Greene County, Wisconsin be authorized to issue pursuant to Chapter 67 of Wisconsin statutes? That's standard language, right? And so what are we doing? We're going to be doing general obligation bonds, issuing general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed 88 million for the public purpose of paying the cost of a school building and improvement consisting of, this is where it gets into the specifics of our project, acquisition of land for and construction of a new high school, including a performing arts center and site improvements, removal of the current high school and site restoration, capital maintenance and mechanical system improvements at Abe Lincoln Elementary School, and acquisition of furnishings, fixtures, and equipment. So the last three applies to both which we won't likely have much of that at Abraham Lincoln. We sometimes have a little bit, so that's why it was also included in like the Parkside and Northside projects. But that covers both the new high school and the Abe Lincoln project. Probably the big two things that we made sure that we added there was that it included the removal of the current high school and site restoration. What that may look like may change over time, but at least it gives us the authority to move ahead with that process when the time comes. And then the other item is making sure that we had the Abe Lincoln project in there, right? So that we didn't just go, hey, we're asking about the high school, and then we forget about the Abe Lincoln part of the project, so.
Couple of questions, Ron. Does the contractor bid include removal of the current high school and site restoration?
Yeah, the proposed dollar amount that is in there did include that. And so that's basically to take it back to being a green space. Now, if we choose to do something with it different than that, then obviously we need to see if we can do that or if we have to augment that with our own funds.
And the second question, we detailed that it would include performing arts center for the high school. Does it need to detail to include athletic fields?
That would be what site improvements are, right? So site improvements is talking about athletic fields. Typically, the two big things that rise to the question or rise to the level of having to be noted is, one is a performing arts center and the other is a field house. If you have a multi-station gym, it doesn't need the language. When it becomes a field house, then that's when it rises to the level of having to be included in the question. And we're not putting a field house in the project, so.
Fieldhouse has a track in it? Is that what a fieldhouse is?
Fieldhouse typically, yeah, is more than just a multi-gym. It usually has a track around it, becomes more of a multi-purpose athletic facility. Usually is bigger in the sense that, you can have indoor soccer practices and things of that nature. Now, some of those you do in a multi-purpose gym, but a multi-purpose gym doesn't usually have that track component around the basketball courts.
Okay. Any
questions or issues with the language?
I think it makes sense.
Looks good to me.
That's good.
So, yeah, either you can authorize it or you can by consent, as long as we're all in agreement. That will be what the language will come forth then with the resolutions at the next meeting.
I'm okay with moving forward with consensus because we're going to approve it, the actual language at the next meeting. So it sounds like.
So the legal team that we're working with is the legal team that will then adopt the resolutions. And they are, there's probably two legal firms that do probably 95% of all school districts in the state. And they're probably the one that does the majority of that 95%. And they're also the legal firm that we've used predating me coming to the district. So for probably 25, 30 years. Certainly they've done every referendum we've done in my tenure here, which includes both operating as well as facility referendums.
Okay. Looks like we have consensus, so please move forward with that round.
Okay.
All right, we will move on to our next item for discussion and possible approval. It's the revision to 2022 through 2023 revised school calendar. And ask Todd to walk us through this one.
Yep, my turn. All right, and in your board docs, you guys should see an approved calendar, then the revised 2022-23. That includes a few updates and then my recommendation. Really two things we're looking at with the new proposed calendar. Two updates. The first one would be the removal of the three, I'll call them summer school days. They're called extended school year days on the calendar for August 29th, 30th, and 31st. This idea was added to the calendar after Rick proposed it back in September to staff. Three things that Rick proposed, or important notes he shared with staff was, one, it'd be use of federal funding to extend the school year to address learning loss from COVID. Two, opportunity to provide extra compensation to staff because these days would not be part of the regular contract. And then three would be the additional FTEs would assist with some funding loss that we had with declining enrollment. And then we did run summer school during 2020. So those are the three big points at the time. 55% of the staff that were surveyed said they liked the idea, they supported it. Another 20 to 25 needed more information. And then another 20 said, no, thank you. So obviously September was a long time ago. The year has played out. Many changes or many challenges throughout the year have been present. And we're getting to the stage where we needed to gather some additional feedback and information to be able to see if we were able to run this plan in August. So at the beginning of March, I sent out another, call it a survey, asking staff to commit to those 3 days so we know how many staff were going to work. About 200 staff took the survey. About 52% of professional staff said yes to work. That number was a little bit higher for support staff, which I would expect. The overall number is around 59%. And with those numbers and having conversation with the administrative team, we do not feel like we can effectively run our schools with about 50% of our staff to start a school year. So those 3 days would be removed. Our in-service days would be adjusted, which are represented on the new calendar. Those days would be primarily placed in that week, and we'd start school on September 1st, which would be a Thursday, like we normally do, where we start with smaller groups at the middle school and high school because of web and link crew. So that's the first change. The second proposal is, as we look at things that support our PLC work, our academic achievement work, with our ACT, our forward, report card scores. There's one thing that you guys, said at the end of the conversation a few months ago when we talked about this. What do you need? Resources. What do you need to support this work? And one thing at certain times of the year was we need more time. So with these 2 additional days, it provide 2 in-service days that are built into the calendar. And you can see the days that are listed there. So it'd be October 7th. October 7th is a Friday, and it is near the end of our fall benchmarking. We gather a lot of data across the district on all students. And we typically would use subs to have summit days, data days, where we bring our staff together, we look at all that data, we make instructional decisions. Our sub situation has not allowed us to do that work this year. And I don't think that changes for us moving forward. So this would be a built-in day that allows us to get staff together without sub coverage, and it would be built into the calendar. The second day is November 28th. That day is at the end of first trimester. Again, another critical time of the year where we're looking at data from first trimester courses, looking at what do we need to do differently, reflecting, but also planning for the next trimester. And then the third day, which already was on the calendar, and I'm really looking at switching the 16th with the 24th. The 16th was Martin Luther King Day. That was an in-service day. And February 24th was listed on the calendar as just a no work, no school day. So it would be just flip-flopping those 2 because February 24th lands at the end of trimester 2. So we're looking at adding in some additional time in the year at the end of benchmarking and at the end of first and second try to be able to do that work without requiring subs to pull our data days and our summit days off. 2 of those days would have to be asynchronous learning days, which would be October 7th and the February 24th days on the calendar. Those would be so we would meet the required minutes at the middle school and high school. At the elementary, we are well over the amount of instructional minutes that we need in order to meet the requirements for that. So those would be the 2 additions to the calendar that I'd like to propose for the 22-23 school year.
How can you do was it asynchronous? I can't even say it.
Asynchronous?
Yeah, that and have data days at the same time.
So they'd have to do front load stuff. They'd have to front load videos and things that students would be able to access that day that they were at home. So it'd be day 1 of the trimester. So a lot of the things that they would be doing would be providing kids access to materials, resources to get the trimester started. That day would obviously look a lot different. And it wouldn't require them to be on live, but stuff that kids could access where we could use that as instructional minutes. Questions?
DPI allows that to be counted as instructional minutes, and I'm looking, and this might be old that I'm looking at, because it looks like you can't count it. This is saying you can't count it when no direct instructions provided. So, and this is off the DPI site, but that might be old.
Yeah, I feel like instructional minutes wise, we'd be fine if we provided videos that provided directions and access for kids. I'm confident we'll be.
Do we need to denote that differently on here so parents understand there's an expectation?
On the actual calendar?
If it's asynchronous, are students allowed to do that at any point over those 3 days? So that Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, as long as it's completed prior to return? Or is it the expectation that they're doing the work that day?
Probably look to the middle school and high school principals.
Yeah, I think the term asynchronous means they can do it when they're able. That's kind of how we use it during COVID. Blended learning and then at-home learning. So it makes more sense that they would do it when their school day is in because they shouldn't be working at that time. It's not like I don't believe they're going to pick up any shifts or anything like that for our students. So it makes more sense to do it during the day, but asynchronous does mean that they can do it when they're able to.
It's really a function of when it's loaded and made available to the students.
Okay.
But yes, theoretically they could, if it was posted, started on a Saturday night.
flip it, but yeah, you could structure it such that the window is that specific day or give them a longer window.
I actually agree with Nikki. I think it should be listed separate or something, because parents are just gonna take those days off. They're gonna plan a vacation or whatever that they have on those days, because there's another, it's a longer weekend, so let's go somewhere or whatever. And if there's an expectation that kids have to do it, I think we need to let them know somehow.
I think the symbols down below, we can create something that spells that out, that the 7th and the 24th would have asynchronous learning
I think that would be
for middle
important.
school and high school.
Any additional questions?
So some of the meetings you're typically having aren't happening because there's no subs.
Yeah, we typically would do data meetings at least 2 times a year, honestly. We would do the beginning of the year at the elementary, middle school, where every teacher group would rotate through.
And I'm familiar with that, I was just curious, so that's not going on as normal.
We've had to significantly reduce the number of data meetings, summits, work that we've done just because we're really just trying to.
Even on the normal
keep
meeting
the
times,
doors
the
open.
common prep times, they're not getting those because they're in-house subbing for other teachers.
Yeah.
Part of it's the duration, having that full day to team. It's that there's a value to that for folks to dig deeper.
Entertain a motion if somebody would like to make it then.
Move to approve the revised 2022-23 school year calendar as recommended by Todd Parity, Director of Curriculum and Instruction.
Second.
Good motion by Dan and a second by Terry. Any additional conversation? By voice vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, on to informational items. Anything from administration?
I forwarded a message from Sam Rudy. I hope you all saw it. Sam just wanted to pass along the gratitude of the staff for the support and the treats recently. So she wanted to make sure that the board understood how appreciative they were of those gestures.
For boardsmanship, there's admin content in here. States Nicole Josephs has withdrawn her writing candidacy for the school board election in '22. Board of Education correspondence. I do not have any new correspondence that the board is not aware of. Go to committee reports. Dylan, anything from you?
Nope.
Dan?
No.
Terry?
No.
Vicki? Teresa?
Curriculum met tonight and had a great presentation from the equity committee and all the work that they're doing. So that was really great to hear. And then our next meeting will not be the first meeting in April, but rather the second meeting in April.
Tim? No. Phil? No. Cheryl? Okay. Agenda items for future discussion.
I would just like to see kind of what's our multi-level systems of support for mental health and social, emotional, behavioral learning for all of our kids. So what is our different tiers and what are we doing? Because I know we're doing great things. So I think it'd be good to hear what that looks like at all the levels, especially given the additional services that we've added.
All right.
So I would like to also talk about the public comment tonight about the hockey. If we could just get some more information about that. Because we have one more meeting by the April 1st deadline. So if someone could just give us some information about it, and I really, I don't know if we can.
It's not on the agenda, so.
Okay, yeah.
Let's bring it back so when it's on the agenda and then people know it's coming.
Say again on average.
Let's bring it back so it's on the agenda and people know we'll be discussing it.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I think to pick up what Terry was thinking, I think it would be good for Mr. Newcomer and Amanda Spots to maybe connect and dive deep on what we have for 7th, 8th grade kids in the surrounding area. It seems like we might have some kids that wanna play hockey in the co-op, and I was not aware of that.
Maybe there's information that I missed with the public comment, but I just feel like if he's been with, the hockey program for 10+ years, that we would really try to do our best to get him to a point where he can play hockey.
Okay, we'll bring it back for discussion. All right, nothing from the liaison this evening beyond the email forwarded to the board. 5 minutes for the press. Don't see anybody from the press here. At 8:11, I'd entertain one final motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion by Dan and a second by Teresa. By voice vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.